Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate ringsidenews.com. Real quick before I get to the questions, I've been getting comments every now and then that I do not answer people's questions. A few people say that I have never answered a question from them. So if I have never answered one of your questions, use the hashtag on Twitter, PAIV1ONE, and I will try my best to answer your question. Let's get started today with your questions. First one comes from James Gale. Hey Aaron, what do you make about the Forbes article claiming that WWE are about to turn John Cena heel? It's from Forbes, so I would take it with a grain of salt, and regarding the John Cena heel turn, I will believe it when I see it. I honestly do not think WWE is going to ever turn John Cena heel. I think the best time that they could have done it would have been 2012, around the time Kane was doing the angle with John Cena, Rise Above Hate, and then you had Cena losing to The Rock, and then you had the match with Brock Lesnar. I felt Cena could have lost to The Rock and then lost to Lesnar, and then just finally snapped after that. That would have been the opportunity to turn John Cena heel, and WWE did not capitalize on that back then. Would have made the most impact. And like I've said, I feel if WWE did turn John Cena heel, they would somehow manage to screw it up, and I think that the fans would just cheer John Cena anyways. So in a weird way, it would turn him babyface to the people that boo him. I've said this time and time again. I say this every time I get this question, so I know it sounds like a broken record. But now John Cena is in that phase of his career where he's a part-timer. He's not around all the time. He's not hogging the spotlight. So I think it's unlikely WWE turns him unless Cena's coming back. He's going to be full-time again, and they're going to go all out on a heel turn and go all the way with it, which I find very hard to believe WWE is going to do that. So I would, again, take any news about Cena turning heel with a grain of salt until the day comes, if it comes, that he actually does turn heel. Got this one here from Richard Henderson. James Ellsworth is freaking awesome. Why do you think that the WWE Universe loves him so much and became so popular? Hashtag no chin music. For stuff like that, for starters, the no chin music, I think it's because it's something different. We haven't really seen an enhancement talent, a jobber, get this kind of push on television, and it's fun to root for the underdog. And he's goofy. James Ellsworth is a goofy guy, but that's his charm. That's what we like about him, that he's so silly and he's like your average person, so it's easy to have sympathy for him and get behind him. He's a natural underdog. It's a fun storyline. I'm having fun with it. I know some people are having issues with AJ being made to look like a fool, but it's the heel getting his comeuppance. It's AJ, the heel, getting a taste of his own medicine, and that's why I think people are enjoying it. It's fun. It's entertaining. I was entertained by the first match, and I was entertained by this week's Smackdown match with Ambrose out there antagonizing AJ. I loved it. I'm entertained by it. It's not boring. It's not the typical same mode routine on WWE television. It's something different, which I think is a huge positive. Got this one here from WrestlingFan94. Is WWE protecting James Ellsworth by not having him take the pin against AJ? I think that's part of it. I think WWE would like to drag out this storyline with James Ellsworth as much as possible and keep the momentum going and keep the hope alive that maybe he can win the WWE title. Who knows how far they'll go with it? I'm not sure if this is going to be something that's going to be a long-term storyline, but for now, they just released a t-shirt. They might as well try to drag it out. And I like what WWE did on SmackDown by having AJ get disqualified because he was so frustrated about the whole thing. I thought it was very well done. AJ losing his temper makes sense. The whole thing made sense to me. And you can protect AJ from losing again, you know, that whole thing. But again, it's Dean Ambrose screwing with AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan screwing with AJ as well. And you know, you had AJ on Talking Smack saying that Daniel Bryan's no different than the Authority. It's great storytelling. It's, for once we're seeing the baby faces screwing over the heels, which is very fun to watch. So I think that was part of the reason why, was just to keep this storyline going and further develop the Dean Ambrose versus AJ storyline as well. This one comes from Garrison Mendez. Isn't SmackDown running out of real babyface opponents for AJ? Why not make a double turn with him and Dean to shake things up? I think I brought this up a month or two ago, the idea of a double turn, but now it's looking like that's not going to happen after these last few weeks with James Ellsworth in the mix. Dean Ambrose is back to being the wacky comedy babyface, and I doubt they're going to do a double turn. Really would not make sense at this point with all this stuff going on with James Ellsworth to do a double turn. Right now, they're focusing on keeping the AJ versus Ambrose storyline going, but, they still have Randy Orton, and I think that once Randy is done with the Bray Wyatt feud, we'll see Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. It's inevitable. I mean, that's bound to happen sometime within the next 6 months. Maybe WWE will go back to Cena and AJ one more time, but you have to think that by WrestleMania, we are going to see AJ Styles versus Randy Orton in a big, high-profile match. So AJ's not running out of opponents just yet. This one comes from Rob. Why is WWE making Rollins a poop joke type of face instead of a serious face looking for justice? Your answer is as good as mine. I really don't understand it. I wasn't a fan at all of the Raw segment where Seth Rollins made fun of Jericho's ring gear. What was it? Glitter crotch or something. I don't even remember it because it was forgettable. And the crowd, it was cringy when they started chanting it. It just goes to show that the crowd will really chant at anything, and that's the era we're in right now, where the crowd just wants to chant to hear themselves on television. To me, it's pretty pathetic and not a sign that that catchphrase is going to be a catchphrase. What is it, seriously? I don't even know what the phrase was. Glitter crotch, something like that. Sparkly crotch. I do not even remember what it was, and it was only 2 days ago. It was like almost tater tots level bad. And the funny thing is, if it was Roman Reigns saying that line, he would get a ton of hate. But since it's Seth Rollins, everyone's like, oh, it's funny, it's entertaining. It's all the writing, whether it's Roman Reigns saying it or Seth Rollins saying it, it's the writers coming up with these jokes. And yeah, that's all WWE knows. They're trying to make the new John Cena, so they'll do it with Roman Reigns with the jokes. And then Seth Rollins, that's the formula. WWE has to have the top babyface making jokes all the time, trying to be like The Rock. But the thing is, nobody can be The Rock. Seth Rollins, you should just let him do what he's good at and just be an ass kicker. Look at Goldberg. Goldberg came out there and he has so much presence and charisma that even though his promo wasn't technically that great, he still came off like a badass, and he's straightforward, and he's not coming out there making the stupid jokes. And, there's a big difference between how Goldberg came off and how Seth Rollins came off. Got this one here from Beast Slayer. Paige seems to be in the news every day. Do you think that this is another young celebrity rebellious phrase? Absolutely. She's very young, and everyone's warning her about the mistakes she is making. And, in WWE, sometimes you only get one opportunity, and once you lose that, it's hard to get a second chance. And for Paige, she might be at a crossroads in her career where she keeps making these bad decisions and there will be no turning back for her. She'll lose her job with WWE. She's having surgery as I'm recording this video, so hopefully that goes well for her. But, once she recovers, will she mature and take her job more seriously, or will she continue to engage in reckless behavior? And, the stuff with her speaking out on Twitter is not smart. We've seen the pattern with all these wrestlers that would be outspoken complaining about company policy on Twitter, and they would end up getting released, and she should really know better. Hopefully somebody smartens her up and she matures and she's able to come back and have a successful run in WWE. But right now it's not looking too good for her. This one comes from Eddie Lynch. Hey Aaron, do you think that since one fan spoke up about real Summer Rae that more and more fans will? Probably not. I mean, with all due respect to Summer Rae, I think she's a very average performer. Nothing about her really stands out to me. Her in-ring skills, she's just there. She's just a person on the roster. Looks-wise, she's all right. Charisma-wise, I mean, there's nothing to me that really stands out about her, but, you know, she's going to have her fans. You know, anybody who's on WWE television is going to have a fan base to some degree, and there was this one fan who was very outspoken, a very devoted fan, and he decided to publish his conversation with Mick Foley, and that generated a lot of headlines, and Mick Foley went on Twitter and said he was taking a break, but now he's going on Facebook and posting about Sasha and Charlotte main eventing Hell in the Cell and then retracting that statement. So maybe Mick Foley just needs to take a break from social media in general. If he's getting worked up by fans and he's posting things that he shouldn't be posting, maybe it's time for Foley to take a break if it's getting on his nerves to that degree. So, you know, just because Foley got a little worked up by this fan's comments, I don't think that's going to lead to this huge campaign to get Summer Rae a huge push in WWE. I do not see that happening. This one comes from Keith. Do you believe Titus O'Neil's WWE run can be salvaged? He's a good talent, just having trouble since the suspension. Oh man, the character they're doing with him right now, I mean, it's career suicide. I mean, it's an awful character. It screams opening match. And he is just completely lost in the shuffle now. It seems like they're throwing things at a wall, hoping something will stick. I really do not have high hopes for Titus O'Neil in WWE right now, and I think that he had some momentum, but yeah, after that suspension, he came back, and then they just had him lose, and then they put him in that feud with Darren Young, which was death. And now what they're doing with him, this Titus brand, is even more death. So, I doubt it. To be perfectly honest, I do not think that Titus can be saved from this. I think that this is more than likely going to kill his chances in terms of being a significant star in WWE. Got this one here from Austin West. Better announced team, Raw or Smackdown? Personally, I think both teams have their own strengths and weaknesses. I agree with that comment there. I think that if you had Mauro Ranallo and Corey Graves as a two-man announced team, that would be very solid. Problem is, you have Graves stuck with Michael Cole and Byron Saxton, and to Michael Cole's credit, he can be okay at times. He does his job well. He does what he's told. And on SmackDown, you have JBL, who I think is way past his prime. I think that he was a good color commentator in 2007. But then when he came back, he was a shell of his former self. And David Otunga is just there. I think the three-man teams are weak. I think it would be better having two guys on both shows and ideally having Ranallo and Graves as the team. But you have the brand split now and you have to have two teams. And Michael Cole's been around forever, so they're going to keep him around as long as he can do a good job and wants to be there. So unfortunately, it's doubtful that things will change. Got this one here from Daniel Jobber. What do you think of SmackDown keeping the Spirit Squad on as a regular team for a while? I find them entertaining. I like it because it's good nostalgia, and you know, WWE had talked about bringing back some past acts to the company, and I'm glad they're doing it, bringing back some of the former names. I'm not expecting it to be a lengthy run. I think once this feud between The Miz and Ziggler is over, that will be it for the Spirit Squad. But yeah, it's nice that they're getting a little bit of a comeback and getting to be on television again and we get to hear the music and them do their routine. I mean, it was a fun act. So yeah, it's a feel-good nostalgia to see them back, but I'm not expecting it to be a long-term thing. This one comes from B Money. Even though they were in different eras of wrestling, whose fake retirement speech was better, Scott Steiner or Mark Henry? That is a tough one to answer because I really like them both. I mean, I love Scott Steiner, and that was a great promo, and he got me. I mean, when I watched that on Nitro, I believed that he was retiring, and then he came out and turned and joined the NWO. Steiner was great, and it's unfortunate that not more people remember that segment because that was when WCW was going down the crapper. But yeah, that was an awesome segment by Scott Steiner. I loved it. And Mark Henry put on the performance of his career, let's face it. So, I mean, I'll go ahead and say Mark Henry because that was really a defining performance for Mark Henry. And Scott Steiner's had a lot of entertaining moments over the years. I mean, I wouldn't say that retirement speech was his defining moment. He's had a lot of them, whether it's in the ring or one of his many infamous promos. I mean, Scott Steiner's had a lot of crazy moments. Mark Henry has too, but I think not to the degree of Steiner. So I would go with Henry's because it was on Raw, and it was perhaps I would say it was Henry's best performance in WWE. This one comes from Dave Lesnar. If Batista came back as Hollywood Batista and immediately sided with Triple H and destroyed Orton, would his last run have worked? I think that it was necessary to bring back Batista as a babyface initially. He was going to get the big pop returning. The problem was that Daniel Bryan was the guy fans wanted to see win the Royal Rumble. That was the guy that had the momentum. So it was just bad timing to bring back Batista there. If Batista had returned at a different time when Daniel Bryan wasn't red hot and Batista wasn't taking a spot that fans felt belonged to Daniel Bryan, I think Batista would have worked well as a babyface. But, overall, I think Batista's way better as a heel anyways, but I think initially it would have been smart to bring back Batista as a babyface. He's going to get the pop when he comes back, have him be a babyface for a couple months, and then turn him heel, which is what they did, but the problem was there was already such a negative attitude towards Batista's comeback that fans were just completely turned off on him. And, it ruined it for him, and it ruined the potential that he could have had. That'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. If you enjoyed this video and you liked my responses, please share this video with a friend on Facebook, Twitter, any social media account that you go on. Please spread the word about No DQ&A video. YouTube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ is the link you can send to people. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com. We got the latest regarding Paige, Alberto Del Rio, TNA. Lots of stuff going on with TNA, possible bankruptcy. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all that, and I will see you guys next time.